Okay, Commissioner Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Couture,
I approve.
Commissioner Janjigian,
Approve.
and Commissioner Moore.
I approve.
Passes unanimously.
Okay, item number 2, one of my favorites, Mother Hen. Before we go into that particular item on the agenda, I want to ask if there's any comments from the public. Okay, I do not hear any comments. John, do you want to give us a little bit of background on Mother Hen?
Sure. So Mother Hen was installed a number of years ago as part of the loan program. The city purchased the sculpture towards the end of last year. When it was placed in a fantastic spot. But then we decided we expanded our outdoor dining program. And what we have found is that the adjacent or neighboring restaurant has encroached on the space of the sculpture. It's not a very big space to begin with. And so when they put their tables and their chairs, the patrons are getting very, very close to Mother Hen. And so the commission requested an agenda item to talk about potentially moving Mother Hen to a more open location.
So, John, do you recommend that we discuss as a commission where to place Mother Hen or where Mother Hen should cross the road and go to? Or should we form a subcommittee or decide if we need a subcommittee?
I think it's up to the commission to decide if you have ideas as to where it could go. We could discuss that now. If you want to, well, let me back up. If you want to discuss, should we move it or should we leave it where it is? And then if you want to have a discussion on locations, or if you want to discuss appointing a couple of people to scout out some spots, that's equally as fine.
Okay, so let's start off with, because we have a lot of newer members, is everybody, and you can probably just nod your head, I'm in gallery view, is everybody familiar with the piece in question? Okay, good. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it in the last maybe year. John is correct that the restaurant, the seating is like bumped up right against Mother Hen, so it is probably not the best location. Does anybody have any suggestions of where Mother Hen could go? And I know we have a subcommittee that's looked at locations for our call for art, which we're going to discuss in a little bit, but they are probably very familiar with a lot of the spaces and potential spaces in the city. So I'm wondering if they have any feedback where Mother Hen might finally rest.
I have a question. I mean, does the restaurant want it to be moved, or do they like it and just we need to move it a little bit, or what's their input?
That's a good question we've never asked. And maybe we should start with that, but I know that the way right now the seating is, I don't know if there's really a spot in front of the restaurant right now that it would fit appropriately. So does anyone have any suggestions of where they'd like to see Mother Hen?
How about where we have May I Have This Dance, that one that we are taking down, because it's a nice open space.
I had thought about that spot. There's also a lot of greenery right around that space that tends to I know it's overgrowing into Will You Dance With Me. I know personally I was thinking about where the Rotary had put Jenny's Bear, which is on the corner of First, I believe, State. If we put Mother Hen is not very tall and probably needs a little bit of a platform to show her off.
Yeah.
That could be a spot.
I don't love that spot. I feel like that's kind of an entrance to it. I don't know. That's not my favorite spot for that. Is there anywhere at Grant Park or the community center, kind of in the wood chips of the community center would be kind of fun, or Grant Park. I know one of our former members had really liked it downtown because, and near the ice cream shop, because she loved taking her grandkids to see it when they would get ice cream.
Yeah. I like
Um,
it, yeah.
Well, here's the thing is that we had John talk to the artist because the piece is a little rickety. People, put their
Right.
kids on it and like, let's take selfies or pictures with the kid. And I did think about putting it at the community center near where the playground is.
Yeah.
But do we want to put it somewhere that really encourages kids to be popping on it? I don't
Right.
know.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
It sounds like we need a subcommittee,
Mhm.
a mother hen subcommittee.
Motherhead Committee. Well, she deserves it. She's
I think it's time. So should we make a motion, John, to create a subcommittee and then decide who goes on?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's general consensus of the commission that a subcommittee is needed, then I would actually suggest perhaps identifying 2 or 3 individuals who would like to be on the subcommittee. Or if there's just one person that wants to be on the subcommittee, then we can do one person, and then you can do one motion to create the subcommittee and appoint the 1, 2, or 3 individuals to it at the same time.
I will, as somebody who pushed to buy Mother Hen, I'll gladly spend some time looking for a good nest and home for her. So I'd like to make a motion that we create a subcommittee for a location for Mother Hen. And if there's anybody else who wants to look into it, they can join me. Otherwise, I'll try and come up with a list myself.
I
All
second
right.
the motion.
John, you want to take a vote?
Sure. So to clarify, it's just Monica who is
I'll
on
come
the
up with a
subcommittee.
list.
Okay. Then what I would, if I could then maybe clarify, since it's not really a subcommittee, I would say perhaps the motion is you are directing Chair Waldman to explore some locations and come up with a list of recommendations for consideration by the commission.
Is that what, Hillary? Is that what you said?
Yes. I make a motion to direct Chair Waldman to come up with a list of spaces for Mother Hen.
Okay. I'll second it. Am I allowed to second it?
You can.
Second it. Thank you, Monica.
Okay. Do you want to take a vote, John?
Yep. I'm just furiously typing my notes. Okay. Chair Waldman,
Yes.
Vice Chair King,
Yes.
Commissioner Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Couture,
Yes.
Commissioner Janjigian. I think that was a yes.
yes.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Couldn't hear you. And Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Okay. I'll come up with a list for next meeting then. An extensive list. All right. Item number 3. Before we go into it, I'm going to ask if there's any public comments on item number 3, our call for art. Okay, I don't hear anything. So,
Okay.
oh, Marjorie. Okay, go ahead.
I have told all the artists that
Can I interrupt? Sorry,
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Monica, would you like to clarify which call for art?
Yes. I think Marjorie was probably going to comment on the, if I may put words in your mouth, on the community center call for art.
Yes.
And this is the call for art, what used to be called the Sculpture Loan Program and is now called Art Without Walls. So we're discussing placement of the sculptures that were chosen from that call for art.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the other call for art for the wall in the community center.
Okay, so that's a little bit further down the agenda.
Okay,
So,
all right. Thank you.
okay, so if we
I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I should have, my fault. I should have clarified it. We don't have any other public comments, so let's go ahead and hear from the subcommittee and from John as far as placement, scheduling, and when the artist can come and visit us.
Sure, I'll start and then I'll let the subcommittee members jump in. We had scheduled a meeting with the maintenance director to finalize exact locations in some of our locations. I, unfortunately, as many of you know, have been away from the office for the past couple of weeks, and so was not able to attend. And so I'll let the subcommittee members provide a brief report if they like.
I'm on that committee and I didn't make the notes. Manny made the notes.
So, yeah, so you were able to go out and meet and finalize the locations for the sculptures?
Yes, we did. And there were already 4. We only had to find 4 places for plaques because everybody else had stands already. And Manny took all the notes, so he's got it all.
And so with that finalized, I'll start working with the artists to figure out when they can come and start installing sculptures.
During that, I don't know if this is the right time for me to bring this up or not, but during that meeting, the sculpture Walter
Singer
bust came up, and Manny told me that he was going to be installing it by the Chamber of Commerce. So I don't know if this is the right time for me to bring that up or not.
So Walter Singer, back in, I believe it was May, the Public Arts Commission kicked it back to the city. So if Manny and the city are installing it, that's fine.
So,
Okay.
so if I could, sorry to interrupt, Terry, suggest bringing that up under the commissioner reports at the end of the agenda.
Oh, okay.
It would be
wasn't
a great
sure.
time to bring it up.
Thank you.
John, since we're on this topic, can I go back to the previous topic and just ask a clarification question?
On item 2?
On Mother Hen?
Sure.
When I come back with recommendations, do they have to be recommendations where there already is a pad? Like Hillary was suggesting putting Mother Hen somewhere in a more natural setting, but Mother Hen needs to be stabilized. So it would definitely need some kind of cement or something under.
Yeah. No, not necessarily. I mean, if the ideal location needs to have some site work, then we can address that. Some of the sculptures that we're installing as part of the Art Without Walls will need some site work, and that was why the subcommittee members were meeting with maintenance staff, so they knew exactly where to put some concrete pads. So it does not have to, I mean, it certainly makes it easier if there's already a concrete down, but it's not something that we can deal with it.
Okay. And am I allowed to still comment on item number 2? Janet had a good comment. I will talk to the people who own the restaurant where Mother Hen is and see if they still want her to be close to the restaurant. Okay. John, I guess next meeting, hopefully you'll have a list of dates, times, or potential months when we might see some of these items.
Yeah, as they get scheduled, I'll keep the commission updated and aware.
Okay, good. All right.
John, is there anything else we need to know? Have you heard from anybody or anything like that? Anything you need to bring to our attention about them?
Nothing that needs to, I don't think there's anything that needs to be brought up. I've been in contact with a couple of them. I know recreation staff has been in contact with some. They're ready to go.
Great. That's good.
Will signage be ordered after they're installed, or are we ordering it prior to installation?
I will try to get it ordered so that it's ready and available around when they're installed.
Okay,
if
Thank
that
you.
makes sense.
yes, yes. All right.
John, I have another question.
Mhm.
Carrie and I were talking about this when we were looking at the site locations. Have all of the structures already been made, or any of them going to be specific to the site, like the dimensions and everything?
The ones that where you guys went out with maintenance staff and identified the specific spots, those will probably need to have some concrete pads poured. And so typically what I do is I'll work with the artist and say, okay, we're going to create the pad. You know, what are the dimensions that you need? Because they usually know best. And every single one that I've, worked with and over the years and have asked, they've always been very helpful with, okay, it's best if it's, 3 feet by 3 feet, or if it's 6 feet by 6 feet or whatnot.
Or if it needs holes in specific spots or
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. And we've always had it where the artist has shown up and it's been ready to go and they've been able to put it in and secure it.
And all is good.
Mhm.
And then if we have any between now and our next meeting, obviously, John, you'll send email to let us know.
Yeah.
And those whose schedules can accommodate will meet and greet the artists while they're installing.
Yep.
Perfect. Item number 4, before we go into it, is the Community Art Engagement Project. Do we have any questions from the public? Okay, I hear resounding crickets, so let's go ahead and go into the Community Art Engagement Project. We have a subcommittee that is working on this. We're going to do Community Art Engagement Project and possibly the Poetry Month. So I'll let the subcommittee go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, Janet, do you want to talk about this? We're having a date change.
Sure. So you may recall that we had met in December and we're going to schedule this event for February 5th. It's been a learning curve for all of us. And so the status ended up being that we had very few people who actually had expressed interest or even signed up for February 5th. Plus, we noticed that there were other art communities where they were kind of rescheduling things because of the resurgence of COVID. And there seems to be some concern about that. And I think one of our other commissioners also heard some concern about that. And so we thought the best thing to do would be to postpone this until the end of March. It's no problem with the Paint the Town people. They're totally on board with that. And by the way, thank you, John, for arranging all of that deposit stuff. That was fantastic. And so we thought that this would give us time to partner a little bit better with the staff and the Parks and Recreation Commission, so that we have, a flyer that promotes the event, and also the new website for the Parks and Recreation Commission, so that people know how to sign up. And we were also thinking that we might even explore an alternative way to handle payments. But to make a long story short, we thought time would be good for all around. And so I guess Commissioner King or Moore, do you have anything you want to add?
I think that's it. We did find out that we can, REC set it up so people had to register through the REC web face, which is a bit complicated. We got some feedback from some people, so we do want to explore other ways to make payment. I don't know if we want to talk about that now or as a subcommittee, but we do want to make it a kind of an easy to do way to sign up that is not having to make people make an account and then log in to REC. Casey over at REC said, it's really up to us how to do it. We do want people to kind of reserve in advance so we know they show up. But John, do you have any kind of ideas on that, or is REC the best way to stay with it, or any other thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, I think using the rec department is probably best and easiest, simply because I don't think the city has any other method other than somebody coming in person to pay, prior to the event, which I think they can still do. Like if they go to the community center and say, I need to pay for my event, then I think they can. Otherwise,
John, how are permits paid for? Does the city have a method of paying for a permit?
yes, but it's a different system and different process and whatnot. And so for an event like this, we would not do payments through our permit system, our online permitting system.
I haven't actually created an account with Parks and Rec yet, but I imagine being able to sit at home in your PJs and sign up for a class is a pretty good thing. Convenient.
It's convenient, but I would say it's not necessarily very intuitive, and it asks for a lot of information that I don't know if people will feel comfortable giving. So it asks for your date of birth and your address, and so I think it's a new system. I may be mistaken, but
it is fairly
Yeah.
new, yeah. But I'll have to double check, but I got to believe that if you can call the rec department or go into in person and can pay that way. But I would have to double check.
that would be great if they just call.
Or if they could go in person, then you could say you can stop by and pay in person, you know, if you don't want to, create the account, because I do think creating the account may put off people. So we could advertise both, either stop by, the community center to pay in person, or do it online from home.
I'm thinking that this system was also used for people to sign their kids up for the Halloween painting contest, or not contest, but when they would paint. So that leads me to believe that there's plenty of people out there who know how to use the system.
Yeah, but it sounds like I can work with the subcommittee members to explore a little further if in-person payment is an option for folks who may not want to sign up for or register for through the system. And I know there are people out there who are still hesitant to make any sort of payment online. So it would be beneficial if there is another option.
Do we have a date at the end of March, and do we have a room secured for it?
We discussed March 26th, Saturday, March 26th. And I have not confirmed with William if the Birch Room will be available, because I wanted to run that date by everyone first.
John, do we need to make a motion to change the date?
That is a good question. I'm trying to remember. Give me just a half a second to pull up the motion, or the motion that was made last time. I can't remember if it was a specific date or if it was just to do the event. So give me just a minute to pull up the minutes from that we just approved.
I want to make sure that we do things properly.
I don't, you know what, so based on what the motion was the last time, the commission at the last meeting, commission just approved hosting the event.
I think we gave a lot of leeway for the subcommittee. We gave them carte blanche.
Yeah, I think in the interest of clarity, it would not hurt to have a motion approving or directing the subcommittee, or authorizing the subcommittee to move the date of the event to the end of March. And I would leave it open. I wouldn't say a specific date, but just the end of March. And that way, if the room is not available on one day, but is available the next day, there's some leeway and flexibility for the subcommittee.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and take a stab at that, if that's okay with everyone. I'll make a motion to move our Everyone is an Artist event to end of March or beginning of April, whenever we can reserve a room in the community center. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
All right, John, you want to take a roll call?
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Commissioner Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Couture,
Yes.
Commissioner Janjigian,
Yes,
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair King,
Yes.
and Chair Waldman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Let me just check my notes here. Okay. Do we need to discuss Hillary's poetry event in the same?
Well, before we do that, the subcommittee had discussed whether this event is something we do again, or this is a one-off. And I don't know if we want to discuss that now or just wait until after March and see what we do. Do we maybe just want to wait until after March and see? Or Janet, what do you think about that?
I was thinking that we were treating this like a pilot, just to see if it works, if it's worth doing. Maybe we'll learn a lot and we can decide then once we've seen how it went. And maybe if we do it once and we don't do it again. But, you know, I was thinking we could do a survey of people who participate to see what they thought. Did they like it? So I would propose just waiting until we have more information.
I think let's wait. I think, you know, my concern is I don't want to undercut other places in the town, you know, that are offering similar services. And I want to, you know, be on our mission of doing different kinds of arts. I don't want to get into kind of running art classes because I think there's other places in town that do that. But we can also wait till after March. Yeah.
I mean, I see this as kind of a way to get people to know the Art Commission and for us to help co-promote the Parks and Rec Department and also promote local artists. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Well, we had also talked about, you know, stuff we wanted to do, the other outreach projects. So we also have to just be mindful of our bandwidth.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
And we also have to be aware of the bandwidth of city staff as well.
Exactly. No.
Which we know is overworked right now, as always. But
yeah.
The poetry project I'd mentioned was doing a hometown haiku where we have a contest that can range, you know, a couple different age groups from young to teens to on up, of having people write a hometown haiku about Los Altos, have a couple gift cards as prizes, and get a couple judges. And I think that would be relatively simple to do and run. We can send out stuff to the schools and stuff and see what we get with it. So that's my proposal for April being Poetry Month.
I think, and John will correct me if I'm wrong, I think we'd approved doing an event. We've just moved the date just due to availability and COVID, correct?
Well, so I think this would be a different event than the one that you just approved.
Well, we have a
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
Well, we have
Hillary
a poetry reading. We have a poetry reading that's already booked that we have already paid for,
Okay.
or not paid for, but that's already booked. That's April 24th. This will be a different one. I don't think we voted on it, but.
Do we need a subcommittee for that, or do we have the community art engagement subcommittee work on it? And I look to John for the answer on that. I don't know.
I mean, you could certainly ask the subcommittee if they want to take on this event as well, or if you want to see if there's other commissioners who are interested in helping with this event, we could create a new subcommittee.
All right, I'm going to turn the table on the subcommittee and ask if they want to help put on this event.
Let's broaden it out. I prefer if we could broaden it out, so there are other people who are not on that. I don't know. I mean, is that fair? What do the other commissioners think? I don't want to exclude anybody who does want to be involved, or do we want to keep it at the same outreach subcommittee?
Do you want to make a query and see if others want to join in, Hillary?
Or I can do it. I mean, if no one else is, I'm happy to do it. So.
I'm fine letting you guys handle it.
Okay.
All right, Hillary, it sounds like you're a subcommittee of one.
Got it.
Hillary, if you need any help, I mean, I'm happy to help out, but if you need it, just reach out.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, cool.
Well, I guess technically she's not allowed to reach out. You'd have to be a subcommittee,
Okay,
correct,
all right.
John?
It sounds like, Hillary, you don't need a subcommittee. You just, is that right?
I mean, I think if people want to be involved, I think that's fine. It's absolutely, if we want to keep it on the same subcommittee, that's fine. If other people like, oh no, I want to do that too, that's fine.
Sorry,
I'm sort of open, so.
I didn't mean to complicate things. I was just trying to help. So,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah,
Why don't we keep it on the outreach committee for now?
Okay,
Why don't we just keep it on the subcommittee? That would be
okay,
good.
right, cool.
I think it's a good idea because just in case you need to bounce ideas off someone and not violate the Brown Act that way, you have other
Well, and
voices.
Jenna, you have good connections in the schools, so that's helpful too, so.
Yeah, definitely happy to participate.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. All right, and then I guess we don't need to take a motion for that particular item, do we, John? As far as the date or setting it up as an event that the Public Arts Commission is participating in.
I'm sorry, my memory is failing me. The commission already approved doing the haiku poetry event already,
No.
or no?
No,
No,
this
so
is
we
a
need
new
to vote on
event.
that, I think.
Then I would suggest a motion approving doing a haiku event as described by Hillary, and
Okay.
directing the engagement subcommittee to work on it.
All right, I make a motion to, that the Arts Commission will develop and execute a haiku contest in April and to be organized by the outreach subcommittee.
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Couture,
Yes.
Commissioner Janjigian,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair King,
Yes.
and Chair Waldman.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Okay, item number 5, Community Center Arts Subcommittee report. Before we even start talking about it, are there any questions or comments from the public?
Would this be my turn?
That would be, yes,
Okay.
you have the floor. We've
Okay.
kept you here all day, go ahead.
Okay, so I have talked to a lot of my artist friends and told them about the latest call. And their concerns are, number one, the requirement for reflective glass. Non-reflective glass. The problem with that is regular non-reflective glass causes a blurriness over your artwork. There is another non-reflective glass that does not cause it, but it's like $300 for a 20 by 24 piece of artwork. It's very, very expensive. And my husband and I did go over to the community center yesterday to look at the wall with the reflections, and you're so right. You can see your face in the glass that's on the photographs. It's not a good spot, but the best spot would be a north wall. But even on your north walls, there's still a lot of reflections and glass. So I don't know. I think we thought that the outside glass already has some kind of coating on it that's non-reflective. It seems that way, because that would be a suggestion to put a coating on the outside glass, but that's a lot of glass. Anyway, and then there's a light that runs all along that wall overhead, causing more reflections. So none of my artist friends were willing to spend the money to get non-reflective glass that doesn't cause fuzziness. So, and I don't know what to say. You could just forget things that are glassed and call for work that's done on canvas or board that wouldn't have any glass on, that wouldn't, acrylic or glass.
Hillary, do you have any comments on that?
I mean, sure, that's fine. I mean, I'm happy to kind of waive that. I mean, I'm happy to kind of waive that stipulation. We can say we encourage non-reflective glass, but
Yeah.
we would also take works on canvas or board. I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to make changes structurally to the building at this point. So if we
No,
want to
I
relax that, I'm not sure. I think it just means updating the website. So hopefully that's not too hard to do. Right, Monica?
Yeah, and Marjorie, when we were initially hanging the gallery, we were a little surprised by the lights above, and we agree it's a little in the way, but unfortunately the lights have to be there. I'm sure there's a code that requires it. So
I think it's much more the reflections from the outside
agreed.
than the light, but the light doesn't help. There was another concern too, and that is the size limitation, 16 by 24. And if you're going to have something under glass, you'd want at least a 3-inch mat around it. So a 16 by 20, which is a standard size, would mean that the image itself would be 10 by 14, and that is not a very big image. So there is, having things under glass is going to be a problem, I think.
Well, if we remove the stipulation that things have to be under glass, that would help as far as the sizing, because.
Oh yeah, I think that if you would add canvas and board or something to that effect, yeah.
I think the main thing for us is we want to make sure that the items are hangable, that we don't have to figure out how to jerry rig it to hang it.
Yeah. So where did you come up with?
And we can fit everything.
Yeah, the 16 by 24 limitation. There's nothing you can do about that. Just select fewer items. It's very restrictive, 16 by 24.
We have to also look at the amount of space we have. I know, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Hillary, I think it's like 18 feet on one side and it was like 16 feet on the other,
right.
Something like that. And when you figure X number of pieces and you have to space in between. So
Right.
we were trying to think of a size that is somewhat standard or fairly standard and would fit numerous items.
Right, but it is, I'm just telling you the concerns that my artist friends had about the space. One is the non-reflective glass, and two is limiting to that small a size, the width of 16 inches.
Is there a size that would be more accommodating to the folks that you know?
Or maybe 18 by 24, or I don't know. You'd have. The thing is, if you have this contest, you're going to get people to want to be in it or to try out for it. There has to be a little more leeway, or you're just going to get amateurs who paint small.
Nothing wrong with
Well,
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm
and-
sorry. I'm being a snob. I'm sorry. But you could limit it, say 5 people will be chosen or 8 people, or, make the size limitation bigger and just have a fewer number of
Well, we do. Yeah. Well, we do have to keep in mind, I mean, it is, a community gallery, and we do have size limitations. So I think we can look at that and look at look at the size and look at the non-reflective, but we will still be keeping in mind how many we can get, how many we can fit, what looks best. So, we need to keep in mind the community art gallery, and we have those limitations.
Okay, there's another suggestion too. You could hang things salon style.
Yeah, we
One on
talked
top
about
of the other.
we do have the hardware. We ordered hardware in order to do that. But if we end up with things the size of poster boards, sorry, my cat is walking past. Sorry, guys. If we do end up with a bunch of things the size of poster boards, there's only so many, and they'll be hitting the ground. If we can't really stack 2 of them because we have the limitation of where the rail is to the ground. So Hillary, do we maybe want to change the size? We can say recommended size up
Sure,
to
that's
this,
good.
and that would
Okay.
leave a little bit of flexibility.
Okay. I mean, it's just got to be changed on the city website, I think. It's not on the flyers or anything, so.
Okay.
Should you put
Okay.
a maximum size? Maybe not larger than?
Yeah, there was a maximum size and it was 16 by 24.
Right. Say recommended no larger than
We're
18.
revising it. Aren't we revising it or?
We could go out there and measure like the distance from the rail to the floor and say like, you know, no larger than, you know, whatever the length is. In
We
case
can do
get
that.
a
We can be,
tapestry
yeah,
or
we can relax some of these, but you know, we'll be still keeping, you know, some of the limitations in mind. We can do that. You can report back.
On that topic, we had originally wanted the call for art to go out on January 5th. It went out, I believe, on the 20th. And we, the subcommittee, discussed maybe extending the call for art because the deadline, I believe, is February 15th. And we wanted to have the next meeting in February that we would vote on the pieces and then put them up in March. But I'm thinking we need at least an extra month's time to get the word out. A, the word needs to get out, and B, people need time to make the artwork. So,
Well, Monica, we'd also discussed who needs to vote on the pieces. Does the subcommittee or does the whole commission need to? And I'm not sure and so we need to figure that out too.
I'm actually more comfortable with the whole commission doing it like we would do with a regular call for art. I think that's more fair. I mean, it'll take a little extra time, but I think that's more fair. But that's just my opinion. I am only one of, you know, X number of people making a decision. So I'll put it to the rest of the commission if and when we get the entries. Are people comfortable with the subcommittee making the decision, or should it be a decision made by the entire commission? And I ask my other commissioners.
The subcommittee gives a recommendation and then the commission votes on it. I think that's how it works.
Okay.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
So
could I ask a question? Have you had anybody register for this yet?
That would be John answering.
Oh, John.
I will have to look.
Okay.
John is very busy making his own pieces, so.
Okay.
All right. So,
Monica, when are you talking about extending the deadline till?
I'm thinking March like 15th.
And then I think it's supposed to be hung March 24th.
It is, but I think we're going to have to then vote on, or the subcommittee will look at the pieces, make a recommendation at the March meeting, and then we'll hang in April.
Okay, it's gonna be a busy April.
It's going to be a busy April.
Okay.
We hope it's a busy April. That would be the best. I just feel like we've got the call out. I just feel like we haven't gotten any publicity out for it. And it's the kind of.
Well, the call went out late. I mean, the call got put up 10 days late. So yeah, we just have to push it back. So.
That and getting the word out, whether it's next door, whether it's the town crier, because we would like people to have time to work on pieces and present their best. John, is this the kind of thing where we need, I know I keep asking this, but do we need to make a motion for this? That's going to be my term of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I would suggest a motion extending the call for art.
Okay. So I will go ahead and make a motion to extend the call for art for the community center, community gallery from February 15th. Let's make it March 15th. And I'll wait a second for that.
I second it.
Okay. John, you want to take a vote?
That's
Yep.
a Tuesday.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yep. Commissioner Corrigan? Commissioner Couture,
Yes.
Commissioner Janjigian,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair King.
Yes, and what was the date again?
I'm
Sorry.
saying March 15th,
Okay,
push it out a month.
And Chair Waldman.
okay.
Yes. John, you'll update that on the, or have somebody update that on the website?
Yes.
Okay. So the Community Center Art Subcommittee has a couple more items. Hillary, you want to touch on our lettering for our community gallery?
We ordered the lettering for the wall in the gallery, so that should be arriving in 5 to 10 business days, and we will get it put up, and then won't be paper anymore, which would be nice. And then we're gonna, once the new exhibit, we're still waiting on the signs for the murals, and I think those are in process, I believe. So those should be getting up soon, and that's nice. I think Linda's working on the video, correct? She's working on that. Linda Goss is working on the video about the murals. Is doing some.
I believe
research
she's
on that.
working on getting us a quote for that, correct?
Right.
We haven't paid for that yet.
Right. And then once the new exhibit comes up, we are going to put the artwork from the previous exhibit into the senior center at Grant Park. And I think
So
that's all we have from, yeah.
Two things. I'll touch on the moving of the artwork. I reached out to Parks and Rec and asked if they would like the artwork that is currently on exhibit, which the city has paid for, the pictures and the frames, move it to the Grant Park Senior Center. They said yes. We came back with, how do we hang the stuff? And Mary Jo from Parks and Rec said she will take a look and see if either we can put another hanging system, or if we're allowed to knock nails into the walls there. So she will get back to us on that. The other question I have is signage for the tower. Do we have any signage for the tower that's outside of the community center?
Not
John? Okay. Do you know if it's on order?
yet. Not unless somebody else has ordered it.
Okay.
We'll add it to the list.
Okay, perfect. All right. I think that's all that we have on my notes for the community center. Lucy, did you have anything?
No, I think you've covered it pretty good.
Okay, good deal, good. All right, we'll go on to discussing our loaned sculptures. And before we do that, I'm gonna ask if there's any comments from the public. Nope, no comments. John, you wanna go ahead? I had a question about the tower, which I believe is, if I may speak about it, the loan is up next February, I believe, 2023.
Mhm.
And that means it'll only have been up for about a year and a half. And
Yeah, and for that one, I've reached out to the artist and I'm working with him to extend it so that the sculpture is there for the full 2 years.
okay. And did you, by any chance, get a price on that sculpture,
On the tower?
the tower?
Not yet.
Okay, in case we decide to buy it, because I know the Parks and Rec people say it's perfect, it's wonderful, it's lovely, which I agree with, and it's in a great spot. But you know, how much does it cost if we do decide to actually buy it? Okay, I'm trying to think, was there any other sculptures on loan? I do have a question. I forgot the name of the artist. I believe we have Allegria is the piece in the park with the Olympic wannabes. We picked one of his sculptures for our sculpture loan, not sculpture loan program, Art Without Walls. Is he going to deliver his new piece and take away the piece that is in that park at the same time, or can we extend that one?
Well, if the commission would like to extend it, I can reach out to him and see if he's willing to extend it for another 2 years.
Okay.
It does seem if the commission is not interested in extending it, it does seem very convenient if he were to pick it up the same day that he is installing the new one.
Are people, are commission members familiar with the piece in the park?
I think it's pretty popular. I think people like it because it's got movement.
I will say that when my car is stuck waiting in that left turn lane, which a lot of us get backed up there, and seeing it, it's a nice pop of color and it does move. I mean, I personally would love to ask him if he would extend the loan, but I open it up to the commission to see how other people feel.
I think that's a great idea.
Cherry, do you want to make a motion?
I move that we ask the artist of Allegra, who is Adrian Susnia Littman, if they would be willing to extend their loan for another 2 years.
I'll second it.
Okay. I'll take the roll call. Commissioner Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Couture,
Yes.
Commissioner Janjigian,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair King,
Yes.
and Chair Waldman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Had a lot of unanimous motions today. Awesome.
We agree.
Yeah, good group to work with. All right. Our loan, sorry, I was gonna say our loan sculpture program, which we just talked about, our sculpture conservation subcommittee. Do we have, before we go into discussing, do we have any comments from the public? Again, I hear none, so I open it up to the subcommittee to report on what they found when they went and looked at our sculptures that are out there.
Hillary, do you want me to go first?
Yes.
So we divided up the tasks in Concord, and I went, you have the spreadsheet, but I went more by location. So I went from location to location. So it's a little bit awkward, but I start at Village Park, Allegra. The plaque is rusted and the sculpture itself needs to be cleaned. Olympic wannabe.
Terry, when you say the sculpture needs to be cleaned, if someone just took a
yeah, this is spider webs and stuff.
Okay, okay.
So I'll be more clear on my next one. Sorry. Olympic wannabes. The children actually need either a wet rag or something like that, because there's a lot of like bird
Stuff.
and also like dust, etc., because there was some construction that was going on there. The trees got trimmed, etc. The lights really need cleaning, and the plaque also needs cleaning. You can't hardly read it. Smoke that's at the firehouse. It needs a good wash, and there's actually no plaque there, so I don't know. I made a lot of notes, so just FYI. Magic Fish at Los Altos Library. There are a lot of chips of paint, the green, the yellow, the orange, the red, and the black. And I don't know if that's spray paint or if it's actually like enamel paint or something like that, but it could use a good touch up. It kind of looks, beat up.
Not so magic.
Yeah. The seal head at the library is okay, but the plaque could use a little cleaning. The Australian dog at the Los Altos Youth Center, there is no plaque, but it's in good shape. It doesn't need any cleaning or anything like that. The conversation piece at Los Altos Community Center is perfectly good. The Dancing Man at Los Altos Community Center is perfectly good. The Diamond Jubilee at City Hall really needs a power wash. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
The arches at State and Second, the plaque needs a good cleaning, and the red bottom stand needs some paint. Actually, the bottom part really needs painting, but then the top, it has like 3 tiers. The bottom 2 tiers are pretty bad, but the top tier isn't too bad. The Guardian at State and Fourth needs to be cleaned. Jasper Priestess at Main and Second. There is some paint that's needed on the bottom 10 inches. Midnight Stomp, the bases, that's at 161st Street. The bases need cleaning. The Redwood Grove sign is very weathered. So I don't know if that's us or if that's Parks and Rec.
What sign is that, Terry?
It's a sign at Redwood Grove. It just says Redwood Grove, and I noted it. I don't know.
That's Parks and Rec. Yeah.
Parks, okay.
I can let them know.
Fine, although she's weathered a little bit. Will you dance with me at Second and State? The paint is chipped, so that probably needs a little touch up.
Can I talk about that, Terry?
Sure.
Well, let's come back to that one.
Yes.
We'll come back to Dance with Me. Will you dance
Okay.
with me? So.
Space Dance for Peace. So that you can barely read the plaque and it needs a good cleaning, but Manny told me that he was working on that already. So I don't know whether, and the only reason he told me that is because he was telling me about the other sculpture. Music Gamble, it needs cleaning and there's no plaque. Imagine that at Lincoln Park. The red paint needs touch up and the actual sculpture itself needs cleaning, power wash.
Terry, can you go back to Musical Gamble? What is the condition? Because I know a previous...
It's working. I manipulated all the little parts and it worked fine.
Is there any rust on the piece?
Yeah, I think
Well, it didn't look, I was thinking it was paint, but maybe it's rust. It didn't look like rust to me.
I looked at it. I didn't think it is in need of dire repair. I think a paint job would be great on it.
Yeah.
But it is rusted in some places, but it seems very stable to me as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the repair that they had done is fine. But I do think it would look great with a fresh coat of paint.
Okay.
I agree. Shalom at Lincoln Park is fine. Cradle of Liberty needs a good power wash. And Manny said he was working on that too. I don't know exactly. He just said that, he just mentioned that those were the 3 he was working on, so.
Yeah, I'll if I can just jump in, the Cradle of Liberty, that one's a little unique. It has its own, there's a group that's, I can't remember the name of it, that's very interested in it, and they generally I think they've provided a little bit of money for the city to actually take care of it and clean it and make sure it's looking nice. So my guess is they're waiting for the end of the rainy season to really give it a good cleaning and make the area look nice.
The egrets at Shoot Park need cleaning. And the bird at Lincoln Park needs cleaning, and the metal may need a little bit of like sandpaper or wire brush, or I'm not exactly sure what you'd use to clean that. But it's like, it's not rust, but it's
Corrosion.
metal debris.
Corrosion, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Erosion, that's the word I want, yes. So that's my report.
All right, that was pretty substantial.
Hillary's got some.
Hillary, you have something?
Yeah, maybe most, just about all of them, except I would say for Dancing Man and a Conversation Piece, need a good cleaning after the rain season. People just need to go out there with, mop and bucket or power wash or something, but most of them do need a good cleaning. Dancers, which is over by Montclair, needs the plants need trimming again. Maybe once we get into the season, it's kind of getting overgrown by the plants. Dragonfly, which is in Rosita, is kind of falling apart. So we need to maybe either have facilities look at it or see if we can contact the artist.
Can I jump in?
Dragonfly is due May, it's already overdue.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Dragonfly
Maybe
is a
we get
lone
that picked up.
sculpture.
Okay. So maybe we have that picked up since it's kind of fall. I don't know if it can be repaired. So maybe we just have that picked up.
Well, my
What do we
thinking
think?
on it, Hillary, is it is kind of lost with those gorgeous trees. You know, it doesn't,
Yes,
you can't
agreed.
really see it anymore.
Agreed.
Nice to have something else there, but I don't know what you do
Yeah.
right now, so it can't really see it at all. I mean, you can
On
see
an,
it now a
oh,
little.
sorry. I was gonna say on an off topic, but related, prior to the last revision of this commission, we discussed having sculptures at the loan program has ended, having, contacting the artists and either seeing if they want to renew and or have them pick it up, and including Jasper Priestess. And now that John's touched on one of them also that has expired, the loan program, I think, do we bother cleaning these? Do we just contact the artist to come get them?
Probably contact the artist. Yeah. I think contact the artist.
Yeah, I think on Dragonfly, we might as well contact the artist because
Yeah.
it's kind of rickety. It needs cleaning and it's sort of lost in the trees because the trees have gotten
Yeah.
big now.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
So John, can you contact the artist?
I'll reach out to her.
Do we need to make a motion on that?
I don't think so. I mean,
The
it
term
seems,
of the contract is up.
yeah,
so-
the contract, the 2 years is up, and so we're not taking an action to extend it, and so I can reach out to the artist about coming and picking it up.
Will You Dance With Me? Does have some holes in it. Was able to contact the artist. He did respond and said if we could get it to him, he'd repair it. I thought I could, since I'm headed that way, could have fit it in my car, but I measured it and it will not fit. So we're kind of back to square one with Will You Dance With Me? I have heard, I think someone talked to, I think it's Linda at the Nature's Gallery, and she's kind of tired of it being out there and not being repaired. So do we want to maybe take it down, or what do we want to do with Will You Dance With Me?
It may be time to retire it.
I think so.
I know that she's not like that piece, I think, since it was
Right.
put there, so. But if, I don't think it's worth us shipping it to the artist and then paying to ship it
I don't
back.
think so either. Yeah, agreed.
So for a little bit of background, it was, I think, a sculpture on loan program, and then the artist donated it to the city.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, we could decommission it, and then maybe look at, put it in storage, and then if somebody is going to LA, drop it off to be fixed. But I think it's probably time to decommission it.
I think so too. I agree. Do we need to make a motion, John, or just?
What I would suggest is if there's support on the part of the commission, so if we get 3 or 4 commissioners who support putting it on a future agenda, we can have it as its own separate agenda item and can discuss all the various options, and make a determination that way. That would be my suggestion.
Are you giving it a lifeline, John?
No, I think we
don't have a definitive what we want to do with it. So.
And the agenda item is more to just talk about maintenance and conservation of sculptures in general,
Okay.
as opposed to what we actually want to do with the sculpture. And so kind of like we had a separate agenda item for Mother Hen, we can have a separate item for Will You Dance With Me? I can put in some various options as well as attach the policy on decommissioning a sculpture, just so that everybody has all the information and background and everything else.
That would be good.
Okay. So back to kind of the report, now that we have kind of said this, can we what is our next step? We want to kind of get some of this stuff cleaned. How do we kind of guarantee that, or what is our next step in kind of taking care of what we are, assigned to take care of?
So my suggestion is I will work with maintenance staff to get the ones that need cleaning, which I agree is probably all of them. Just, they're outdoors. They're going to get dirty.
Right.
Get it into their schedule to clean them at some point. I won't guarantee that it'll be in the next few weeks, but it may be, certainly before the summer.
Yeah.
I think we can get it done.
Okay.
The ones that need a little bit more work, the ones that need plaques, I'll work on that. The ones that need
Investigation.
some painting
How to
or
paint.
some extra work, I'll have to do some talking with maintenance as well, see if it's something that we feel comfortable doing, or if so for example, I think Musical Gamble was mentioned as needing a complete paint job. I don't know that's something that our maintenance crews can do. And if it's matching a paint and touching it up
Right.
here or there, that's something we can do. A full repainting is something we may need to
Right.
hire a professional to do. And so I can work with the subcommittee, keep them updated, let them know where we're at, and then work with the subcommittee on any actions that may need to be recommended to the full commission.
Okay, and please, share with them the spreadsheet that we updated with everything, because that's got notes in it.
Chair, can I make a comment?
Go ahead. Yes.
You know that I don't often do that, but John, were you advisor to this commission when there was some work done on Musical Gamble that didn't go well?
Yes, I was the liaison. Yeah.
Okay, so you're familiar with how that can go wrong, and making sure that despite their best intentions, sometimes some of the direction staff gets may not be what we want for an outcome. So thank you. Just so you're aware.
So I think John will contact maintenance and come back to the commission and let us know for those, obviously the pieces that just need to be cleaned. I'm sure maintenance can do that. And then when maintenance comes back and says, we can do this easily, touching up the paint, or this requires more work, and then the commission can decide how we want to proceed. Correct, John?
Yep.
Okay. All right, did we have any other comments on conservation or from the conservation subcommittee? You guys did awesome. And I think it was good that we had some newer members on that subcommittee as well, because you became familiar with the sculptures that are in the city. So I think that was a good exercise. Okay, we're going to go on to agenda item number 8, Los Altos Art Task Force Group. We do have someone from Arts Los Altos, and I bet this is the item that we will, when I ask for comments from the public, we will get a comment.
Yes, thank you.
Comments?
Thank you. My name is Karen Zucker. I'm so enjoying sitting through this meeting because I was on this commission for 7 or 8 years. And anyway, I was so happy to see the agenda item number 8. Arts Los Altos was founded by myself and Maddie McBurney, who are both former members of the group, and we are an art-related group. And I just wanted to say hello again. We gave a little presentation, I think it was in December, at your meeting, kind of describing a little bit about what we do. And the one thing I just wanted to briefly talk about was that we would love to collaborate with you guys. And the one thing that we're super excited about right now with Arts Los Altos is our new installation, which is going to be right next to Akane Restaurant on 3rd Street. I don't know if you guys saw the Town Crier yesterday. There was a little article about it. I won't go into it now. I'm trying to be brief, but that sort of aligns with our 3rd Street Art Walk concept, which I just wanted to sort of remind you and share that that is something that we could collaborate with you guys on. So that's basically all I wanted to say. And there's just one other really quick thing. Terry, you did such a good job with all that sculpture stuff, examining the washing. And we got the wall that was one of our murals power washed by Chris Kapp. And he has a business, it's a pressure washing business. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he is great. He lives in Los Altos. He's totally supportive of the arts. He power washed the whole wall before the vinyl wrap was put in on 200 Main Street. And so that could be a good resource to, he may want to help clean some of your sculptures. Anyway, that's all. I just wanted to say thanks and, you know, just put a little plug for Arts Los Altos, and nice to hear the meeting and see you all. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. And I'm gonna give the floor to Hillary because this was her idea once upon a time. I know our commission, we've seen art of various sources just show up in the city. I think about the Rotary put the mural up in Veterans Plaza, and that was kind of a surprise, at least for us, maybe not them. But it would be good to coordinate between the different arts organizations and find out what people are thinking of doing, see if there's opportunities for collaboration. And I believe that's, Hillary, what your original vision was, correct?
Right, that's exactly for sort of the new commissioners. That's what it was born out of. There is just quite a bit of art happening now in the city, which is fantastic. Arts Los Altos, but Rotary does a few things. They also, I believe, have an annual art contest. There's several, you know, Lava sometimes has things, Chamber of Commerce sometimes has things. So there's actually quite a bit of art happening. Art Ventures, Rec, everything like that. So I thought it would be nice if we could try to, you know, get together with some of these groups, even all of these groups, even on Zoom or informally, and just either try to have a kind of coordinated, either I'm not coordinated, but just try to get everybody together. Maybe we can have a master art calendar for the city with both private and public groups. I don't know, but it just seems like we have a lot of art happening. And if we can work together, that makes the city even stronger. So that's kind of what it's born from. I don't think we don't have a specific plan. We're not trying to take over. We're not trying to guide, but you know, if there's with the Arts Los Altos, maybe one of the local dance studios can do a dance in the Paseo, something like that. So it just seems like there's a lot of opportunities if we can get people to work together. Is this something that in terms of next step, do we want to do a subcommittee? Should we try to reach out and see if we can get these groups to meet? Do we need to kind of think it through more and have an actual action plan? I guess that's kind of the next question. I think originally what we sort of had talked about was just having meeting see if we can get kind of representatives to meet from this group. I also want to include the library. The library does quite a bit of stuff. They always have an exhibit up. They had a short story contest. So maybe it's really just about sort of cross promoting and helping people promote and see if we can do that. So I kind of welcome input from the other commissioners and just see where we are on this, what we want to do.
I think it would be a great idea. I think there's a lot going on, and it would be great to talk to other groups, see what they're thinking. They can hear, I mean, we're a public entity, so they're always welcome to our meetings. They can see what we're thinking, but it would be good to know, are there avenues for collaboration? Or if someone's planning an event, like Rotary came to us months before the Bears came up, told us about the Bears coming into town, and we decided, okay, we shouldn't have a call for art, start putting things in downtown, because right. it's gonna take away our thunder. The thunder should go to the Bears because you know they are auctioned off and the money goes for a good cause. So I think it's a good idea though to have some kind of.
We have somebody. We have somebody from the public, Janine Valdez, who wanted to make a comment. Can she do that still?
John, is it okay if she makes a comment?
I think that's up to the discretion of the chair. If you would like to reopen public comment and see if there's anybody that wishes to speak, you can do so.
I'm comfortable reopening for public comment. Janine, did you want to comment?
Hi, yes, thank you. I've been sitting through the meeting and you've been very procedural on asking for public comment. But then this one, I seem to have missed when the public comment happened. So I'm sorry.
No problem.
I made that mistake. Thanks for reading the chat. The only comment I wanted to make was kind of a technical thing. I had been talking, I'm a member of the Rotary and I'm really into the art in our city. I've been following Arts Los Altos. And the question, you may not be able to answer me now, but the question is, I'm glad this topic has come up because a lot of my friends that we talk about, we don't quite understand where all the charters sit with respect to what the commission does versus what Rotary does versus what Arts Los Altos and many of the other entities that have been mentioned. And so from a community standpoint, a lot of times, a lot of us know artists, some of us are artists. We don't exactly know where to go, or do we have to go to everybody, or how do we find out things that in a cohesive way? And I'm not saying that the Arts Commission needs to tell everybody what to do. It's just that maybe some guidance, maybe some policy statements that invite city entities, arts groups and such to exist, but then gives the community some information on how to navigate all of those different options that they have, whether it's to appreciate art, to create art, to loan art, or ultimately maybe even to acquire art, like through the Rotary thing or something like that. That was my comment. Thank you for listening.
Janine,
Thank you for commenting.
Does that mean that Rotary or yourself from representing Rotary, you would be willing to join a meeting, at least an exploratory meeting, to discuss, here's our charters, here's what we're thinking of doing, here's what we've done in the past? Are you comfortable doing that?
Well, I'm not here representing Rotary per se. I just have, I'm very familiar with what they're doing because I am a Rotary member. And I know that Rotary has been very good about talking to you folks about their projects. But I mean, to answer your question explicitly, I would be absolutely willing to, and then there's probably some people within Rotary that already do this to collaborate and to, communicate. I can certainly take messages back to those people. But my question was more general. It was more about, as a community member, it seems like there are a lot of sources of art in our city, and that is fantastic. But, it's like, we don't really know how to navigate the whole system. And so anything that the Arts Commission can do to make that navigation a little bit more clear, I think would help with engagement and conservation and all the other activities that you folks do. Maybe even the distinction between public endeavor and private endeavor, can be helpful to the community.
No, it's a bunch of very good questions. John, I'm going to ask a procedural question. If we decide to go through with this and the Public Arts Commission is more just the organizer, we're not dictating anything, we're just organizing. If there are more than 3 Public Arts Commission members on the call, does that violate the Brown Act?
Yeah, if we had 4 commissioners, we would need to notice it as a Public Arts Commission meeting.
Okay, and I think we're trying to avoid doing that.
That's a good note. I do want to hear from the other commissioners since, we haven't talked about this idea in length. So if they want to weigh in, if they have any comments or anything like that, I want to make sure they get heard.
Thank you, Commissioner King, Vice Chair King. I'm excited. I mean, I want to thank Karen Zucker for appearing twice and reaching out. I think that's fantastic. It's too bad we can't get together, you know, just informally, but I think it's a great idea to get together. And I defer to you, Chair Waldman, on, you know, maybe you want to appoint people to be on your a subcommittee or something like that. But no, I think it's really nice. So thank you so much.
All right. Does anybody else have comments? Thoughts?
And I do want to know too, we are aware of kind of, we need to, we want to do what we can, and we'll do what we can, but we're kind of mindful of our restrictions in terms of being municipal, and that we are, of our city staff. We want to be respectful of that, but we will make a great effort to do what we can. But again, if Terry or Jenna and Lucy have anything to add, we definitely want to hear it.
I just think it's a good idea to find out what they're doing, what we need to talk with them. I think we need lines of communication with the different ones so we don't duplicate, we don't overdo, and everybody knows what they're doing, and work together, I think, would be to know what others are doing and what we are doing to tell them. I think it's important to communicate. That's it.
Any other thoughts?
Should we see about who would want to work on this? I'm happy to, but I want to make sure if people also want to work on it. And as we just noted, we can't have more than 2 on a call with that. Is that correct?
We can't have more than 3. We have to fit in with the subcommittee rules. So a 4th would tip the scales.
I work with you, Hillary. I'd be
okay,
happy.
Lucy.
I'm happy to participate.
Great.
And
So
I'd also be happy to participate as well. I'm only on one other subcommittee, so I have a couple spare cycles.
that makes 4 of us though. So do you, well, no, that's 4 of us. Do you want to be that committee then? So we can only have 3, right?
Oh, I can move out, and if you need me, if somebody else moves out, I can come back.
Okay.
Okay.
John, to be official, we do need to make a motion, correct? And then maybe what we do as a subcommittee is reach out to the other organizations and report back what we find out. Oh, Karen is are you saying goodbye, Karen? Or are you trying to speak?
Well, yeah, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm not supposed to speak again, right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Karen.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were saying goodbye or raising your hand. Hillary, this was your original idea. Do you want to make the...
I will make a motion to develop a subcommittee developing a Los Altos Arts Council to coordinate art, event, and promotion within the city of Los Altos for both private and public art groups.
I'll second.
Can I ask if that motion included appointing Monica, Hillary, and Jenna to that subcommittee?
Yes.
I thought I heard
Yes,
that.
that motion includes the, yes.
That's exactly what Hillary said, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Corrigan.
Yes.
Commissioner Couture.
Yes.
Commissioner Janjigian.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Vice Chair King.
Yes.
And Chair Waldman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, we're on to our art sponsorship program. Since I've been asking with every one of these items, if there's any comments from the public, I will ask again. I hear no comments. A couple months ago, the members of the Public Arts Commission worked on some addendums to our public art guidelines. And we included a new section 6, which I've got it printed out here. I'm going to read it off the printout. The community collaborations, strengthening participation in arts through local partnerships. The city council okayed this section. The reason I asked for this to be on our agenda is because there's an item here, and pardon me for actually reading this. Once per year, the Los Altos Public Arts Commission will provide a $1,000 stipend to partially sponsor an underfunded artist or arts education organization that is interested in partnering, and then it says see sponsored artist program below. So there was a lot of discussion during city council. Does it have to be a Los Altos organization or artist? And I think we left it as yes, we wanted to be a community organization that is local to Los Altos, but that particular program has been sitting for a couple months now without any action taken on it. So I personally think we need a subcommittee to look into this, to getting this program going. The idea, again, being that we give a stipend of $1,000. To borrow off Hillary's idea, it could be a dance, it could be a performance, it could be a piece of artwork that is displayed in the city. It really is up to the artist or artists to determine what the project will be. But we need to come up with, I think we have a form for them to fill out, but we need to come up with a schedule and determine how to get the word out about it, and then determine how we're going to actually jury, whatever proposals we get. So I'll open the floor as far as any comments, but I'm thinking this one may need a subcommittee. Hillary, you were the only other person who was around that time. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I do have the document, and I think the document's ready to go. So, I think it's just a matter of getting it up. I don't know that I think we need to kind of put it out as a call for art, because I think we have 2 calls out, and I think that we start muddling our own water. Maybe it just lives on the website, and if people apply, we use it.
We would need to get the word out.
I think I'm on enough subcommittees. So I'm not going to volunteer for this one.
I think the question is, it's a new program. Do we need to have a date like between now and December 31st?
We have on there applications open February 1st and must be received by April 8th. Art should take place between July 1st and December 3rd. I mean, if you get a subcommittee, I'll send the document.
You can see I've forgotten the dates. All right, as long as there's dates associated with it, I think we're okay then. Yeah. Maybe we don't need a subcommittee.
It would be good to hear the new commissioners' take on it. If we've explained what it is, I'm not sure if it's clear enough. It's meant to be if people approached us and wanted to do something and didn't have funding, that we could put a little funding their way.
And also, our commission was lean and mean and didn't have any funding for many, many years, or very little funding. And suddenly we had funding, and we wanted to, share and encourage artwork throughout the city. So we were looking for a way to give back to a person or persons that are underfunded and get something, possibly very interesting in the city. Yet to be determined what it is.
Yeah.
Lucy, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, I'm listening.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
I guess maybe another question is if, we presented this to City Council and they okayed it, do we want to go through with this program? Because it was decided by, and John, if I'm incorrect in even proposing that, it was decided by the commission prior to most of the members being on the commission. So my question to other commissioners is, do you think this is a worthwhile project to undertake? I hear no comments either way. So does that mean yes or no?
I'm very new to this commission. Do you think we have the bandwidth to take this on?
It's a good question. And I guess I would question too, will we get enough art interest in it? Will we get enough artists applying? We might,
Maybe,
but yeah, do we have enough bandwidth for it? It's a good question.
or maybe a suggestion is, because I know city staff is stretched pretty thin right now, maybe we hold off this calendar year and wait till next calendar year. That we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we hold off on this.
Right.
Nice.
Could we put it up on the website, and if people apply, address it then?
That is another option.
I like that idea.
Is this to have another call for art?
This would be for giving a stipend for an artist or artist organization. So it's not exactly a call. I mean, it does have dates and deadlines, but it's, you know, a call for a proposal to be funded.
And this would be a local artist, a Los Altos artist?
Correct.
Organization.
Local, yeah, artist organization.
And it is pretty common around the Bay that cities do this, having done research into this on to who should be funded. And it is a way to try to get artists within your community to have some funding to do something for the community. So it is generally funds set aside for artists from that community to do something. So that's kind of, we're in line with that.
But I like Hillary's idea of just put it on the website, maybe get a little, the question is, do we want to publicize it? And then if we don't get any responses, are we okay with that? Or do we just put it on the website and hope somebody finds it?
What
Maybe we, go ahead.
Oh no, what happens in the instance that we get multiple inquiries? How do we go about choosing who's the most worthy?
Well, that goes back to my, do we need a subcommittee to determine, one of my questions was, how do we jury? If we get more than one,
Right.
even if we just get one and we look at it and say, this doesn't feel right for our city, because, you know, we're like the first litmus test of, you know, does this fit within, you know, norms for our town?
Right. So maybe we could like set parameters kind of initially, like can we say like this is kind of what we're looking for, or did you want to leave it more open-ended?
I think we initially envisioned it as fairly open-ended, but it does lead to the interesting question of if we have, you know, more than one or even one, and how do we judge? Yeah. And if you've ever done grants and you get lots of organizations asking for money and they're all very worthy, and how do you pick one? It's really tough.
Well, there is a time limit, and there's a time limit on when the art has to be done. So that may limit some of that. But it's a good question. Maybe, you know, either I think what we're looking down to is taking Commissioner Corrigan's comment into effect. We may not have the bandwidth this year. The city may not have the bandwidth this year. So maybe we do postpone it for a year, and I think that's reasonable. Or we do put it up, and if we get more than one submission, we put it up without fanfare. We're not hiding it, but because we have so many calls for art and things we're advertising, we just put it up. And if we do get, you know, by the deadline, and then there's a couple months between when they have to execute and when they get the art up, we have, you know, if we have a pool, then we actually decide on it. So I think that's doable. I think it's just a question of what do we want to do? Do we have the bandwidth to take this on? Or do we want to kind of table it for a year or table it till next year? What do people think?
Might table it. And the reason I say that is because if we do what effectively is a soft launch, that I worry that some artists will feel like, well, I didn't have a chance. I didn't know about it. And, you know.
That's fair.
So it seems like
that's a good point.
But yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we want this to be successful. We don't want hard feelings. So
right.
So John, would we make do we need to make a motion to table it for a year when we haven't actually launched the program, or just keep it as an agenda item? Maybe have it come back maybe September-ish, and we can re-examine.
Monica. I was thinking if we came back in September, then we can start advertising it.
That's true.
Start in January.
That's a
good
good
idea.
point. Yeah, then we can start advertising it for the new year. And we'll, I think John is going to touch on, we'll have hopefully one new member between now and September, because I know that we're going to be looking for a new commissioner. We have one vacancy, so that'll help our bandwidth as far as getting work done. But I like the idea of waiting till September. John, how do you keep track of things that we say, put it on the agenda 6 months from now?
I keep track of it. So
Okay.
we'll make sure that it gets on the agenda in the fall.
Okay, so we have several witnesses here that will remember that you said that.
I think it's wise.
And I think overall, I think this is a good program to launch, but I'd like us to be successful. I'd like us to be ready for it when we launch. So I think tabling it for a little while.
I think that's a good idea.
It's
Yeah.
wise.
And that way also, when we meet with the and I'll have our mayor, who is still here, cover her ears. And when we meet with the city council in October to say what we've worked on, we can say, oh, we're getting ready to launch it. So
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
it's all about perceptions. All right. So we will return to this particular item in a couple months. I believe next we have informational items.
Yeah, as Monica alluded to, the recruitment is ongoing for several commission vacancies, including the one on the Public Arts Commission. I believe there's another maybe 3 weeks to the deadline, with appointments being made in March. So hopefully at our March meeting or our April meeting, we will have our 7th member on the commission. And then the other item, I had received a question regarding the Public Art Fund. As you all know, we have a development fee. It had about $160,000 in it. That money came from a development project on El Camino Real. I believe it's the one that's completed or just about completed. Or maybe it's under construction. It's one of those three. And then I do have some good news because I checked with the staff, and just 2 days ago, we had another project that came in and paid their fees. And that is a big project on El Camino Real. And so they paid $200,000 into the Public Art Fund. So by the end of the fiscal year, we will see a very healthy balance in that fund. And so, as the commission is thinking of future projects, you'll be able to keep that in mind.
Now, John, you said it's by the end of the year. So does that mean that the particular development has been appraised, but they won't actually write the check for several months?
No, they've written the check. So we've received the money. I'm just saying that as we get into budget season, you'll notice that there is a healthy amount in the Public Art Fund. So no, we've received the dollars.
I have a question, John. Should somebody from the Art Commission go to the next city council meeting and tell them that, or how does that work?
They'll be informed sort of through the budget process. They'll learn that we have the dollars, particularly as you as the commission start thinking about recommendations for the next budget and what to do with some of those dollars.
So if we wanted to make an agenda item for the next meeting to discuss that, would that be okay? Like a future, maybe commissioned project?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. All right,
maybe I'll toss a couple words in here. At the council's most recent priority setting meetings, we talked about a lot of the specialty funds that we have in the city. We did not discuss the art fund. And you have probably one of the bestest situations of any of those funds. There's a lot of challenges financially in the city right now, but I think that since there is going to be an inflow of money, John can help you and guide an approach to planning the budget for the fiscal year that'll start July 1st. So that I think it'd be really nice if what you recommend to do with funds for that fiscal year kind of tracks the general budget process, because I know our new fiscal manager well enough, and I think John will agree, that he would love to have someone else do that piece of the budget for him, that piece of the budget proposal, and have it ready to just fold into the budget, because it really should be presented as part of the citywide budget for which council will approve. And by law, we technically have a budget already because we have a 2-year budget cycle. We're in year 1 of that budget cycle, which ends June 30th, and year 2 starts July 1. So we technically don't need to approve a new budget starting for July 1, but we are going to go through a budget revision process so that we modify the second year budget that starts July 1. So sorry to blab about just kind of bureaucratic things, but it's really a good thing to have all of our budget stuff follow a similar process.
So Anita, if our commission decides to, either as a group or a subcommittee decides to investigate maybe doing X, Y, or Z, but knowing that X, Y, or Z can't even be executed on until probably after July, that would be in the planning state.
That's fine. There's no reason nothing to stop you from doing that.
Okay.
Do we have past history of, what we had, what we spent, what we spent over the years, so we can kind of have an idea of what we're supposed to be projecting?
Let's see. I should probably let Monica and Hillary.
Zero.
That's a 0, right?
So
Yes.
we're double zeroing. So John,
Basically, they did something with nothing. No, they did a lot with nothing.
So John will correct me if I'm wrong. We previously would get a stipend is not the right word. We would be budgeted $10,000 a year, and we had to do a lot with a little. And then one year, I think it was the year before, 2 years ago, the Finance Commission said, oh, they have a 1% for art ordinance. Eventually they'll get money, and they cut our budget to 0. So we've done a lot with, as Anita said, very little. With the community center, we repurposed, we brought Dancing Man back, and we repurposed Conversation Piece. And I think the piece does look better in the current position or spot, but we didn't have funds to commission a piece. And we went to the city council to get money for the 2 murals that were painted in the community center. So we have no history in this area. This is
unlike other commissions where I've looked at for years.
Good question, Terry. Just not the answer you were expecting.
Yeah, Hillary and I are kind of beaming because this is like a problem we've never encountered, and it's not even a problem. But
we do want to be very mindful and careful. So it's good to hear the mayor's input. And so what I'm hearing is we kind of want to have our budget by the time the city's budget revisions are going. We want to have our ducks in a row, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
And we also want to be mindful that I hate to say this because we're being recorded, but maybe certain fees might be waived in way to encourage building, because we do have things like RENA numbers and such to hit. So we have to assume that any monies we get we may need to have us last a very long time. So we
Yeah, so
probably don't want to spend it all at once.
let me add, just to clarify, below market rate housing is exempt from certain fees. And in addition, the city agreed for the building that's going up at 330 Distal, which is a 100% affordable housing project, that we would waive a number of fees, including the art fee. So that will be a building that gets built for which no money is going to come into the arts 1%. They are going to do some art things as part of that project, but they will not be paying into the fund. And in buildings where there are what we call inclusionary zoning, where there's below market rate units, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 as a part of the project, I believe, don't take this completely 100%, but I believe that those may be exempt from paying the art fee as well. And John's nodding his head, so I think
Yeah,
my
I'll just
recollection is correct.
I'll add that the public that all affordable housing is exempt, or the cost to construct affordable housing is exempt in the calculation for the public art fee.
Yeah, and the fee comes in basically once they're done with the project. So when they're ready to get what's called the occupancy permit, that's when they have to have paid the fee.
And the fee is based on a final appraisal of the actual building.
I think it's actually based on the construction cost.
Construction cost.
Okay.
So I have another question. So do we have past expenses that we've gotten donated to, or however, that we can kind of try to figure out a budget?
I don't know that there's anything particularly useful in the history. If there is, John would provide it, but they've really lived on nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
for things like signage, we haven't had to pay, correct, John? It came
we
basically from the city budget.
We basically, Terry, I think we had enough to pay for 1 or 2 sculptures a year, maybe 2. And we would do like a community outreach project with a total budget of about $100. So literally that's what we did, because we really didn't have any money. So we don't have a good model to go off of, and it might be worth trying to study some other city art budget models, or talk to some people about that, or, we have a brainstorming session of what we want to do. But really in the past, we had 10,000 and we would do a couple sculptures, right, Monica? We really didn't do any because we just didn't have the money. So we didn't have.
And sometimes we'd get the maintenance staff just within their jobs as maintenance to do certain things. And so there's not really an accounting of funds expended for that purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would suggest we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting, and then I would almost suggest, I hate to call it a clean slate, but we'll have a discussion about what are the projects we want to do, and start developing sort of from the bottom up of what we think it will take. And then, we can have sort of the discussion, because I think Monica is correct, is these funds are not continuous, they're one-time funds. I don't foresee it happening, but development in Los Altos could stop for whatever reason. We could go a couple of years without receiving any dollars into the fund.
Happened before.
And so, as we're sort of building what the budget might look like, we can have that discussion and have our dream, and then, well, what can we realistically do? Because part of it also will be your bandwidth, and as well as the capacity of the staff that need to work on the projects.
Yeah, and I think I'm sorry.
No, I just need to have a question. So when there is a new building being built in town, they donate a certain percentage to us?
Yeah, so
They don't donate it.
yeah, so for commercial or multi-family or mixed use projects, they're required to either install art in their public art in their project, or to pay a fee in place of installing the art. And so the couple of projects that have paid the fee have chosen not to install the art and have chosen to just pay the city the dollar amount. And there's a calculation on how to figure out what the fee is. We have not yet had a project that said, you know what, we want to install the art. If we do, there's a process for that, which includes them coming before the Public Arts Commission.
Thank you for clarification. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and it's fairly new. So
Yes.
we just had, what, the first 2 projects completed, because it's not paid until when the project's basically done. We've just had the first 2 projects completed that paid into the fund.
Just had the first project.
And to give a little more feedback or background, I believe our ordinance passed in October of 2018, and here we are, January of 2022. We've only had the second project pay in. So it is, that is something. Now, my time on this commission is shorter than the rest of you, but that is something to keep in mind, that these are, it takes a long time to see the money from any project.
Right.
Yeah, and some of that is because we couldn't impose the fee on any project that was in process at the time that the ordinance passed. So we had to wait until the ordinance passed, a new project got proposed, which could then come under the fee, then go through the whole process, get approved, and then get built. So that's why there was so much delay in getting started.
Lovely. Thank you.
Can I just ask, at what stage of the project is the fee imposed, or they have the choice to either install art or pay the fee? Do you know
Yeah,
which
so
stage?
what's that?
Sorry, I was just wondering, so just so we can maybe get like a projection of what to anticipate. Like, do we know at what stage?
You're asking when they basically have to make the decision? It's very early on, because if they choose to install the art, they have to get the recommendation from the Public Arts Commission prior to it going to the City Council for approval. And so at the very early stages, as they're sort of developing their project and drawing up their concept plans, they'll come up with, they'll make the decision, here's where we're going to put the art. They'll come before you and kind of talk about what their proposed idea is. And you'll make a recommendation that will be included when it goes to the City Council for their approval. So it's very early. So if they decide to go to the City Council, without.
And it's usually a sculpture piece. It's usually a sculpture.
There's no usual yet. This is brand new.
Okay.
Brand new. There have been 2 projects that had the potential. They both chose to pay the fee rather than install something themselves. And so right now we have none operating right now that have come before council and are approved, but haven't paid a fee yet because they're still not constructed. None of those have proposed public art instead of paying the fee. So far everybody's saying they're going to pay the fee. We haven't had one of the other kind yet.
And knowing what happens in other cities, it's usually either a sculpture or maybe a mural, but we don't know yet.
And there is no prescribed, this is what you have to install. It's up to the developer or the applicant to work out with the commission what the installation will be.
But it is something that has to be accessible to the public, right? That everyone can see, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that's part of the review that you all will do is, if they're proposing, we're going to put this mural on the wall of the parking garage, on the interior wall of the parking garage, you're going to look at them and say, well, that's not open to the public, right? And so you're going to review location and accessibility for the public to see, to experience the art.
All right.
Thanks,
John. That is super good news, and definitely we'll need a agenda item for the next meeting to start discussing budgeting and how to go forward and possible projects that we can do with the funds.
I have one other announcement just before you close the meeting, please.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like you to know that John has a new title.
Oh, he's not a deputy anymore?
He's not a deputy anymore. He got a promotion and he's now the assistant city manager. So please
Yay.
congratulate John. I think it's because we put him back in charge of the art commission, and the city manager said that was such an honorary task. He needed a promotion to go with it.
Wait, that implies we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I'm kidding you. You guys are great. And having John here is great. So
cheers
congratulations, Mr.
Cheers to
Assistant
John.
City
Good job,
Manager.
John.
Cheers.
Well deserved.
Congratulations.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
I think we now have $200,000 we can spend on a party for John.
Don't say that, Monica.
I know I'm being recorded. I'm going to get in trouble now. Other than your promotion, and well, that was not you saying it, but and telling us that we have money. Did you have any other things that John that you needed to mention?
Nope, I did not. But I think if we're ready for commissioner reports.
Talk about.
Yeah, I was going to say Terry's hand was coming up. So
bust.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll try to give just a very quick history. The Walter Singer bus was in the Rotary Plaza.
I don't need the history.
Yeah.
I know the history.
Okay. So a number
Veterans
of years.
Plaza.
Veterans Plaza. Yeah. So a number of years ago, the commission approved placing it near the Chamber of Commerce building. We've done some work over the years and gone back and forth on what kind of pedestal to install, and have gotten to the point where I've worked with, as you mentioned, worked with Manny Hernandez, who's the maintenance director. He is working with a company who fabricates pedestals, and is working to get something so that we can install it at near the Chamber of Commerce building. I don't have a timeline as to when that happens. Ideally, it would have been about 6 years ago, but we definitely are working on getting them reinstalled.
Did we put that on the agenda for next time to let people know? Because I know there's been a lot of people that have asked me about it, and I've just deferred.
It's no longer under the purview of the Public Arts Commission.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So the direction that was, I think it was the last meeting of the former composition of the commission. I believe they as a group, the commission said, and I was not at that meeting. Commission
it was
said
back in May.
Oh, it was back in May. Okay. Commission said,
May.
staff, we'd like you to just take care of it and get it installed.
Okay.
We had
Got
a
it.
staffer who was working on it, and then he decided to leave us. And then I've picked it back up, and like I said, I've been working with Manny Hernandez on it.
Awesome.
And which one is it? Sorry.
So it's
Walter Singer bust.
Walter Singer bust. It's a bust. About
Right,
here
right,
up.
okay.
It's been in storage for a number of years.
6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the starter person of Los Altos. Of note.
One of them, probably.
Yeah.
And,
one of them.
there are a number of people in the city. Well, I think that originally when the bust was donated, people had given funds, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, people had given funds to create the bust.
Oh.
So there are concerned citizens as far as they would like to see Walter Singer back, seeing the light of day.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it was, I don't think it was Rotary, but people did donate money for it, so.
Was he some historic figure in town? I mean,
Yeah. So, and I won't go too deep into it, but he was a number of years ago was a significant prominent figure in Los Altos. A number of people referred to him as Mr. Los Altos because of what he did for the community. The Chamber of Commerce has an annual award that they hand out that is named after him. So he's very active in the Chamber of Commerce, which is why one of the reasons why the commission said, hey, it'd be great if we put him near the Chamber of Commerce building.
Okay, that's really belongs.
I believe the town crier did a really good history of the man. If you Google for his name, you can find the article online. And
Walter
did a lot for Walter Singer. He did a lot for the city, so it's a good read.
I will do that.
I do also have a question, and this is for John. Do we have a date that City Hall is going to be opened?
That City Hall is going to be open?
Yeah, I know there's construction going on there.
Well, so City Hall is open to the public. You're talking about the council chambers?
But the city chambers, sorry, the council chambers, I apologize.
That project is still ongoing. I don't have a date as to when that will be completed.
Okay. The reason I ask is maybe an agenda item for a future meeting is, in the past we've had artwork in the city council chambers and thinking about doing that in the future. So I was just wondering if it's like in the next month or two. If we need
Oh God, no.
No, it'll still be another couple of months at least. They have made quite a bit of progress. I was in there just yesterday, and they have made quite a bit of progress, but there's still some work to be done.
Okay. Okay, so we have a couple months to plot. Okay.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any report, comment, or potential future agenda items?
Lucy, if you look in the chat, Janine Valadez left the link for that article.
Oh, thank you.
It was Janine that did it, not me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good article and
So,
it's worth reading.
As long as we are going to have something on the agenda about, we're going to try to figure out a budget, I have nothing else more to say.
Okay, and I'm pretty much done. Let me just check the time. It is 7:07. Let's go ahead and if we have no other comments, let's adjourn the meeting and dream about what to do with our budget for the next month. Yeah. And congratulate John many times.
Yes, that's great.
Thank you very much.
All right.